February 25th, 2022. A bridge over the Irpin River, northwest of Kiev. 80 Russian special police officers from Kemerovo Oblast are moving at speed. 3 KAMAZ 6x6 trucks, a Soviet-era GAZ 66, a BTR armoured personnel carrier, and 1 GAZ Tigr armoured car. They have been told this will be a parade. They have been told Ukraine will collapse overnight. One officer would later tell his Ukrainian captors that he was not entirely certain he was even inside Ukraine until the night before. They are moving as if the war is already over. It is not over. Ukrainian forces have them surrounded. Anti-tank missiles and mortar rounds crash into the column on the bridge approach. The convoy, strung out and exposed, has no answer. When the firing stops, 77 of the 80 men are dead. 3 survive. The GAZ Tigr, Russia's answer to the American Humvee, its flagship light-armoured vehicle, is burning on a frozen road outside Kiev. It has been in service less than 20 years. It will be destroyed, abandoned or captured hundreds of times more before 2024 is over. Its designation was the GAZ 2330, and it was the most captured military vehicle on the modern battlefield. To understand why the Tigr failed so comprehensively in Ukraine, you need to understand the problem Russia faced in the late 1990s. The Second Chechen War began in 1999 and it was brutal. Russian OMON and SOBR special police units, the same kind of units that would die on the Irpin Bridge 23 years later, found themselves fighting block by block in Grozny, with UAZ 4x4 jeeps and canvas-topped trucks that offered nothing in the way of protection. The Soviet-era BRD-M2 scout car was armoured but slow, complex and too large for narrow urban streets. The heavy BTR-80 was a full armoured personnel carrier, expensive and crew-intensive. Russia had nothing in between, nothing fast, nothing light, nothing armoured enough for a checkpoint patrol but agile enough to chase a pickup truck through a mountain village. America had solved this problem in 1984 with the HMMWV, the High Mobility Multi-Purpose Wheeled Vehicle, the Humvee. Russia watched American forces roll those vehicles across Iraq, across Somalia, across Kosovo, and made a decision. Russia would build its own. The irony is that it was not Russia's idea. In the late 1990s, the United Arab Emirates approached the Gorky automobile plant through their Bin Jabir group with a contract worth roughly $60 million. They wanted a desert patrol vehicle in the Humvee mold, a fast modular 4x4 with an open turret ring and enough armour to stop rifle fire. GAZ built 3 prototypes and unveiled them at the defence exhibition IDEX 2001 in Abu Dhabi. The vehicles looked exactly right. Aggressive, squared off, with a high roofline and a prominent turret hatch. The UAE ultimately took their money and went to Jordan, developing what became the Nimr vehicle. GAZ kept the design. They offered it to Moscow. Moscow bought it. The Russian army officially adopted the GAZ 2975 in late 2006. Serial production began at the Armoured machine building plant in 2007. Within 3 years, it was rolling through Victory Day parades on Red Square. Within 5 years, it was the symbol of Russian military modernization. Within 10, it was in Syria. The vehicle itself was an impressive piece of practical engineering, designed for the demands of the Russian military environment rather than a Western export market. The GAZ Tigr-M, the primary military variant, weighed 5,300 kilograms and measured 5.7 meters in length. The power plant was a YAMZ 534 diesel engine rated at 215 horsepower, purpose-selected to function at temperatures as low as -50 degrees Celsius, a requirement no American Humvee had ever needed to meet. Range was approximately 1,000 kilometers on a full tank. Ground clearance was 400 millimeters, meaning it could ford streams 1.3 meters deep and cross ground that would defeat a civilian 4x4 without difficulty. Automatic central tyre inflation allowed the crew to adjust tyre pressure without stopping. Armament was carried on a pintle-mounted roof ring that could accept a 7.62mm PKP machine gun, a 12.7mm cord heavy machine gun, or a 30mm AGS-17 automatic grenade launcher. Later variants introduced the Armoured DM remote weapon station, a fully enclosed turret system with television and thermal optics, and laser range-finding capable of engaging targets at 2,500 meters, operated entirely from inside the vehicle. The Tigr-M seated 2 crew and 7 dismounts. Its cabin was fully enclosed with armoured glass rated against small arms fire. A military vehicle that could sprint at 140 kilometers per hour, carry a full squad, mount a heavy machine gun, and operate in conditions that would kill a Western engine. On paper, it was formidable. The problem was what the paper did not say. The armour on the Tigr-M was 5mm of heat-treated welded steel. That is the thickness of a standard metal door. It meets NATO Standard 4569 Level 2 meaning it will stop 7.62mm ball ammunition at close range and deflect artillery shell fragments. It will not stop 7.62mm armor-piercing rifle ammunition. It will not stop a 12.7mm DSHK round. It will not stop an RPG-7, and its mine protection, rated for approximately 0.6 kilograms of TNT equivalent beneath the hull, is not in the same category as any purpose-built mine-resistant vehicle in any Western inventory. The Tigr was not designed to survive a peer war. It was designed to outrun a low-intensity insurgency. Russia chose speed and mass production over protection. They chose cost over survivability. A Tigr-M cost the Russian government roughly one-third the price of an equivalent Western protected mobility vehicle. Russia could buy hundreds of them. The philosophy was coherent for the wars Russia expected to fight: Chechnya, Georgia, Central Asian stability operations, checkpoint duties in occupied territories. It was not coherent for Ukraine. Now, before we get into where the Tigr met the war, it was never designed to fight. If you are finding value in this kind of deep analysis of modern military hardware, hit subscribe. It costs nothing, it takes 1 second, and it helps the channel continue producing this kind of content. The Tigr first appeared in a genuine combat role during the seizure of Crimea in February 2014. Vehicles from the 22nd Guard Spetsnaz Brigade appeared on the streets of Sevastopol alongside the so-called Little Green Men, the unmarked Russian special forces whose presence Moscow initially denied. The Tigr looked lethal. It looked like Russia had arrived. In the absence of any real resistance, it performed exactly as advertised. Syria followed. From 2015 onward, Russian military police deployed to Syria with Tigers as their primary vehicle. The Chechen and Ingush battalions that patrolled the M4 highway escorted humanitarian convoys and provided security around Maymim Air Base, relied on the Tigr almost exclusively. Russian state media broadcast footage of these patrols constantly. The Tigr was used to project a specific image: modern, capable, controlled. The vehicles were clean and freshly painted. The soldiers in them looked confident. What state television did not broadcast was the IED that detonated beneath a Russian military police Tigr near the town of Ain al-Arab in northern Syria in June 2020. The vehicle was significantly damaged. Russian sources denied casualties, nor did it broadcast the Syrian Arab army Tigrans captured intact by rebel forces during the fall of the Assad regime in late 2024. The vehicle that Russia had supplied for a decade as a symbol of Damascus's military legitimacy was now displayed as a trophy by the forces that ended that regime. These were warnings. They were not heeded. February 24, 2022. Russia invaded Ukraine with a force doctrine built on the assumption of rapid collapse. Tigrs led reconnaissance columns. Tigrs transported Rosgvardia special police, who expected to secure Ukrainian police stations within hours. Tigrs raced ahead of armoured columns on roads they had been told would be undefended. They were wrong on every count. The Irpin bridge ambush was the first catastrophic demonstration of what happens when a lightly armoured vehicle meets a prepared defence. It was not the last. In the Zaporizhzhia region in May 2022, Ukrainian forces destroyed a Russian convoy, including 2 Tigrs using artillery and anti-tank missiles. In the Kharkiv region, Ukrainian border guard drone units of the Phoenix Battalion began systematically hunting Tigrs, with first-person view drones costing roughly $400 each, filming the strikes and uploading the footage. A vehicle worth roughly $65,000, carrying a crew of trained soldiers, destroyed by a commercially sourced drone assembled in a warehouse. The open-source tracking organization Oryx, which documents only visually confirmed equipment losses, recorded 83 Tigr-M vehicles and 6 standard Tigrs destroyed, damaged, abandoned or captured by Ukrainian forces within the first 6 months of the invasion alone. By late 2024, the confirmed capture figure stood at 29 Tigr-M vehicles and 8 standard Tigrs seized intact by Ukrainian forces. Total losses, including destroyed and abandoned vehicles, are estimated by independent analysts to exceed 100 units. Ukrainian brigades repainted them and drove them back against their former owners. The 14th Separate Mechanized Brigade was among the first documented Ukrainian units to operate captured Russian Tigrs in combat. The vehicle designed to project Russian military power was now firing back at Russian positions. Russia responded. The adaptations accelerated across 2022 and 2023, with a kind of desperate improvisation that told its own story. First came the Arbalete DM remote weapon station, already in limited use before the war, rushed into broader deployment so that roof gunners no longer had to expose themselves to fire the mounted weapon. Then came crude, bolt-on steel plates welded over windscreens, wheel arches and door panels by frontline crews. Then came the anti-drone cage structures, the so-called cope cages, welded above the roof to detonate first-person view drone warheads before they reached the hull. Then, on the 14th of August 2023, the Russian Ministry of Defense placed a formal production contract for the up-armoured Tigr MSPN variant, quickly nicknamed the Mad Max Tigr by Western analysts for its improvised appearance. The first of these vehicles was spotted in Ukraine on the 9th of October 2023. It arrived with extra armour plates and reduced rear seating. It was still rated below Standard Level 3. It was still vulnerable to any serious anti-armour weapon. The comparison with the vehicles Russia faced in Ukraine makes the design gap impossible to ignore. The American HMMW V, the vehicle the Tigr was originally conceived to match, had itself been found inadequate in Iraq and Afghanistan, and replaced in frontline roles by the MRAP, the Mine-Resistant Ambush-Protected Vehicle, specifically the Oshkosh MATV, and later the Joint Light Tactical Vehicle. These platforms were heavier, slower, and more expensive. They were also dramatically better protected. A vehicle that survives an IED and returns to base is worth more than 3 vehicles that do not. Ukraine received Turkish BMC Kirpi MRAPs, purpose-built with V-shaped hulls designed to deflect mine blast away from the crew. A Ukrainian serviceman, interviewed after combat near Vuhledar, described his Kirpi absorbing 2 first-person view drone strikes to the front and driving out of the contact area. A former Turkish soldier who had served on joint patrols with Russian forces in northern Syria put it plainly when interviewed by Defense Blog. He stated that the Tigrs had weak armour and almost no mine protection, and that Russian commanders had insisted on putting Turkish Kirpis at the front of every convoy, not their own vehicles. Russian commanders knew. They had known since Syria. They had known since the First Chechen War, which is why the requirement for a better protected vehicle was written into Russian procurement plans as early as 2012 with the VPK 3927 Volk program. The Volk was heavier, slower, and significantly better protected than the Tigr. Russia cancelled it twice because the Tigr was cheaper, and Arzamas was already producing it at scale. Cost won. Soldiers paid for it. The Arzamas machine-building plant increased Tigr production significantly after February 2022. Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu publicly stated in July 2023 that deliveries from Arzamas had doubled compared to pre-war levels. Tigers continue to roll out of the factory. They continue to roll into Ukraine, and they continue to be destroyed, abandoned, and captured at a rate that suggests the production increase was compensating for losses, rather than building a surplus. 23 countries have operated the GAZ Tigr in some form. China licensed production under the designation YJ2080C and used Chinese-built examples at the 2008 Beijing Olympics. Belarus produces a near clone called the LIS-PM at the Minsk wheel tractor plant. Uruguay operates a small fleet for its Republican Guard. Slovakia, a NATO member state, purchased a batch for its police service in 2016. The vehicle sold itself internationally on the same terms it sold itself to Moscow. Affordable, capable in low-intensity environments, impressively specified on paper. None of those customers have tested it against FPV drones and Stugna-P anti-tank missiles in a contested peer environment. Ukraine has provided that test. The results are documented, confirmed, and publicly available. Return now to the Irpin Bridge, February 25, 2022. The Tigr is burning, 77 men are dead. The 3 survivors include a Special Rapid Response Unit Lieutenant Colonel who did not know he was in Ukraine until the night before, the vehicle that Russia built to replace the Humvee, the vehicle that marched through Red Square, that patrolled the highways of Syria, that was exported to 23 countries as evidence of Russian defense industry capability, has been annihilated inside 48 hours of the war it was supposed to demonstrate Russia could win. The Tigr was fast. It was reliable in extreme cold. It could carry a squad and mount a heavy weapon. On the right road, in the right war, against the right enemy, it was exactly what Russia needed. It had no V-shaped hull. It had no MRAP-grade mine protection. It had no answer for a $400 drone. It was designed for an insurgency and sent against a peer army. Hundreds of units destroyed, dozens captured and turned against their former operators, an up-armor program launched in panic 2 years too late, a production doubling that could not keep pace with attrition. That is not bad luck. That is the consequence of choosing procurement doctrine over battlefield reality for 30 years.